One question, four choices, no guesswork, just smart strategies. IGCSE Economics Paper 12, let's make it simple, let's dive in. Question number one, which economic question is least likely to arise as a result of scarcity? A, for whom will we produce? B, how will we produce? C, what will we produce? Or D, when will we produce? The correct answer is D. When will we produce? Now, let's break it down in an easy and simple way. Understanding the question, scarcity means resources are limited and there's not enough land, labor, capital to produce everything we want. So, because of this, economies have to make tough choices. And some questions naturally arise from scarcity. But the question, when will we produce, is not one of them because production timing is really based more on demand and planning. So let's explain each option. A, for whom will we produce? Since resources are limited, we must decide who gets the goods and services. Should they go to the rich people, the poor, the businesses, or the government? So, this is a direct result of scarcity. Letter B, how will we produce? Because of the limited resources, producers must choose the best production method. Should we use more machines or human labor? Are we going to increase the capital or increase the labor? Should we be eco friendly or focusing on low costs or expenses? This happens because resources are scarce. Letter C, what will we produce? Economies cannot produce everything, so they must prioritize. Should we focus on food? Should we focus on healthcare or the luxury things? So scarcity forces this decision. And the answer is letter D. When will we produce? Why? Because production timing is really based on market demand and efficiency, not the scarcity or not the scarcity. So businesses decide when to produce based on the trends, based on demand, based on seasons and planning, not because resources are scarce. So whenever answering scarcity related questions, think about limited resources and tough economic choices. Number two, what is opportunity cost? Is it A, the allocation of resources in an economy, B, the cost to the individual when they consume a good, C, the lack of goods and services available to satisfy unlimited wants, or letter D, the next best alternative forgone when making an economic decision? Obviously, the answer is letter D. Why? Opportunity cost is about the value of the next best alternative that you give up when making a choice. So, since resources are limited, every decision means sacrificing another option, whether it's the time, the money, or goods. Letter A, the allocation of resources in an economy, is not the correct answer because of the word allocation. Okay, allocation of resources is all about the resource distribution, not really specifically opportunity cost. Letter B, the cost to the individual, the keyword is cost. So it sounds like it's a price or expenditure and it's not a cost because opportunity cost is about choosing between two options, not the direct payment. Letter C, the lack of goods and services available to satisfy unlimited wants. The keyword is lack, which means that it really describes scarcity, which is related to opportunity cost, but it's not really the same. So the answer, letter D, the next best alternative for gone when making an economic decision, is the exact definition of opportunity cost. It's about choosing one thing means giving up another a valuable or important option. So, for example, if a student chooses to study for his test instead of going to a movie or to play video games, so the opportunity cost is the fun that he has missed out on the cinema or while playing the game. Item number 3, the diagram shows a production possibility curve or PPC for an economy that produces two goods X and Y. Which point, okay, it can be point A, B, C, or D, shows the greatest or the biggest opportunity cost of producing one more unit of good X. So if you're going to analyze the whole question, it means that the point that shows the greatest opportunity cost of producing one more unit of good X is the one where the economy must give up the most units of good Y. Again, the economy, it is the one that the economy must give up the most units of good Y to produce additional units of X. So you have already that if you're going to produce one more unit of good X, which one will be the most affected? Which greatest opportunity cost? And again, opportunity cost as a review is the amount of the good Y sacrifice to produce more of good X. If you're going to look at the whole picture again, the opportunity cost in this question is the amount of good Y sacrificed to produce more of good X. And on a production possibility curve or the PPC, the steeper the curve at a point, as you look at the diagram, the higher the opportunity cost, meaning to say there will be more of Y. Okay, more of Y is lost when increasing the X. So again, if the curve is very steep, okay, or steeper, then it means that that's the higher opportunity cost. Okay, meaning to say that more of the good Y is lost every time that you're going to increase the good X. And the greatest opportunity cost occurs at the point when shifting production towards X results to the largest decrease in Y. So as you can see on the diagram, okay, it's so obvious that point A, okay, point A is really high up on the curve, okay, which means that if we produce more of the X, then it means that we must give up a lot of Y, which means point A has the highest opportunity cost, okay? So if your answer is point B is in the middle. So there is a somewhat balance between X and Y, which means that this trade-off is very moderate. If it is point C, very low, okay, the lower part, it means that you produce mostly good X, which means that there's a shift to more X, meaning to say you give up less of the Y. So there is a lower opportunity cost. So as you can see, point A is very steep. It's steeper, meaning to say it has the higher opportunity cost every time that the good X will add more. Okay, so it means that there will be a high sacrifice. If you're going to look at the point C, it only means one thing. If there will be shifting with more X, it means that there will be less of the Y on and that interpretation. And the point D is below the curve, okay? It's inside the curve, meaning to say it's inefficient. There's an inefficiency of the usage of the resources, which means that it's not really relevant for opportunity cost analysis. So again, the final answer is point A, which means that at point A, the increasing good X results at the biggest loss of good Y, meaning to say that it has the greatest opportunity cost. Question number 4, a period of bad weather leads to a failure of the rice crop. What is the effect on the market for rice? So this question is all about the supply and demand. A shortage of rice and a fall in its price. B, a shortage of rice and a rise or the increase in its price. C, a surplus of rice and a fall in its price. Or D, a surplus of rice and a rise in its price. So the answer here is letter B. Before I give you the explanation, let's take a look back at the question. Okay, the bad weather damages the rice crop, meaning to say there is the less availability of rice. Less rice is available in the market, so there is what we call shortage. And then when supply decreases, but the demand remains high because rice is a staple food, so the price increase because the consumers are competing for the limited rice. And the higher prices act as a natural way to ration scarce goods. Only those who are willing to pay can those who are willing to pay more can really buy. So if your answer is letter a shortage of rice and there's a decrease or fall in its price, this is really incorrect because scarcity usually raises or increases the price of a product, not really lowering them. Okay. Letter B, a shortage of rice and there's an increase or the rise in its price. It is really correct because there's a less supply with the same demand. Automatically there's a price increase. Letter C, a surplus of rice and a fall or decrease in its price. This would happen if too much rice was produced, but in this case, there's a shortage. And letter D, a surplus of rice, which is really obvious. It's not the correct answer because surplus means too much rice, okay? And if there's surplus, it means that it would lower the prices, not really raising them high. Question number 5, the diagram shows a change in demand for coffee from D1 to D2. What would cause the demand for coffee to change from D1 to D2? Is it a good coffee harvest, B, a rise or the increase in the price of substitute drinks, C, a rise in the wages of coffee workers, or D, a successful advertising campaign for tea? As you can see here, it's all about the demand and the factors of demand. And to break it down simply, the D1 to D2 shift from left to the right means that more coffee is demanded at every price level. And this happens when external factors make the coffee more appealing to the customers. So, if your answer is letter A good coffee harvest, this item affects the supply and not the demand. So a bigger harvest might lower the prices, but wouldn't, necessarily shift the demand curve. Letter B, a rise in the price of substitute drinks, or also known as alternatives. So if alternatives like tea or soda becomes more expensive, then people switch or to change their preferences to coffee. And that includes the increasing of demand and shifting the curve rightward from D1 to D2. So again, it depends on the alternative. If the alternative becomes expensive. If your answer is letter C, a rise or the increase in wages of coffee workers, this actually has the effect or impact on the production cost. Okay, potentially affecting the supply, but not really directing on the shift of demand. So letter C is wrong. And letter D, a successful advertising campaign for the tea. So if tea becomes more popular, then it might reduce the coffee demand, and there will be the shifting the curve leftward from not the D1 to D2. So it means that when the price of a substitute drink increases, then consumers look for a cheaper alternative, okay? A cheaper substitute. So coffee becomes more attractive, leading to a higher demand.